So when you first launch ZBrush, you're probably going to see something that looks like this. This is ZBrush 4R7P3, and as versions of ZBrush come out, I'll update these as needed. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm going to be showing you hasn't really changed in a while, so we'll see how relevant that is as new versions come out. But for now, you're going to start like this, and you're probably going to have two menus on either side. You're probably going to have a material menu over here, and you're going to have a tool menu over here, and you're going to have this thing right here, which is your light box. Navigation in ZBrush is fairly intuitive. What you can do is on these menus over here, you can click and kind of drag around these menus. And as these menus get longer, you're going to be doing a lot of clicking and dragging, kind of navigating over there. Same thing with this side here. And these are actually little docking stations over here. So you have one on the side. So see these little two arrows here? It's the divider. You can close and open these as needed. If you need a little bit more room to work in here, you can close these down as you need to. Generally speaking, though, you're probably going to have this side open because this is your tool menu. And this is where you're going to be doing a lot of your modeling work. We'll go ahead and open those both. And another thing you're going to see right there, smack dab in the middle every time you load up ZBrush, probably, is going to be your light box. You can open and close this by hitting your comma key. That's going to toggle your light box on and off. And I don't spend a whole lot of time in here up front, but as we go through, and again, I'm not going to go through exhaustively and talk about every single menu just to start out. A lot of these aren't going to make a whole lot of sense to you until you get deeper into the program and they become more relevant to you as you learn more about ZBrush. So for now, I'm just going to take a really quick look through some of this stuff, and we're going to hit a lot of these things later on when it makes sense to discuss them. But since Lightbox is open right now, let's go ahead and talk about it just a little bit. You're going to start here with your projects, and because we don't know a lot about this stuff yet, you can go in here and kind of double click on these and look at them. So if you want to look at this cool one that Joseph just did, you can double click it, and that'll open up this project. And I guess now that we're looking at stuff, let's go ahead and open the subtool menu here. So here's your tool menu. So we've opened up a project. We've actually loaded a project from Lightbox. And now we're talking about tools. And we've also have a document here. So already we're kind of deep into ZBrush. And we don't really know anything about ZBrush yet. So let's take a step back. So your document is actually this viewport window right here. This is where you're going to have objects that you're going to be placing on there, going into edit mode and manipulating these objects in your document. Your document is also going to have a couple other settings we'll talk about in a minute. Another really important thing about ZBrush is your tool. Your tool is actually what you're going to be manipulating in your document window. And if you take your document settings and your tools that you're manipulating and you put those all together into one kind of file, one kind of project file, it's going to be a Z project. So what does that all mean? I think the easiest way to explain it is, like I've kind of done already, is we have a tool over here. This is technically a tool, and a tool is actually, in this case, made up of a bunch of different subtools. So as I click through here, you're going to be selecting a bunch of subtools here. Your document is going to contain a lot of information such as your lights, your material settings that are applied to your tools, things like that. We don't, in this course I'll explain when and where you would want to have those document settings available to you, but generally speaking, your tool, your model is what's going to be the most important. So when you go and you manipulate these tools that you're creating in here, you're going to go to Tool, Save As, and that'll save a ZTL file. It's your Z tool. If you, for any reason, want to save your light and document settings, what you can do is go to Document, Save As, and that'll save a Z document. If you want to save your Z tool and your document settings at the same time, you can go to File, Save As, and that'll save a Z project. Now Z project, if I hit comma key, bring our lightbox back, we're in the project settings here. So here's just basic ZBrush, here's project. These are Z projects. These contain tools, document settings, all sorts of cool stuff. So this is all of them together. Now if we want to simplify this down, what I'm going to do is actually go to Preferences, and I'm going to initialize ZBrush. So we're going to start over again. So now we're back where we started. So we've got our lightbox here. To navigate the lightbox, what you can do is just click and drag, much like when you're playing with your tool menu over here, your material menu over here. You can click and drag. You can also click these little keys over here. So you've got like 1 level, 2 level, 3 level, 4 level if you want to kind of see more stuff. As you click through here, now we went from a project to a tool settings, to a tool tab, basically, a little tool menu. And this will show you kind of a bunch of basic tools that you can start with. So if we double click, let's say Nick Zuccarello's human here, we can drag that out. And now we have a tool that we can manipulate. Now you could create this using a bunch, see all these menus that popped up over here? You can create all sorts of cool things with your tool menu over here. If we hit comma again, we'll go into brush, and when we start creating custom brushes or needing very specific brushes out of here, this is where you can kind of find either, these are the brushes that ZBrush loads, plus I've got some kind of brushes that I've made over the years. So you can kind of store brushes in here, as well as when we get a little bit further in, we're going to get into these brushes here. So the cool thing about ZBrush is these are going to auto load with ZBrush. So every time you start up ZBrush, these are going to be in your Z startup folder, and when we get to customizing brushes and bringing in your own custom brushes and loading up your own custom brushes, you can have stuff that you've made load up every time ZBrush loads up, or if you've got custom stuff that you've made or custom stuff you want to use, you can go into your Lightbox here, and you can kind of store them separately. It's like, you know, I don't use these a lot, but every once in a while I'll use them, and I want them easy to access. You can load them up in here. Same thing with textures, same thing with alphas, same thing with materials. Noise, fibers, arrays, we're going to get into later. I'm not going to get too heavy into that. Another important one is over here in the quick save. So every time you're in ZBrush, you're going to be working on a file, and about every 20 minutes or so, and if you go to preferences here, I think there's a quick save in here. Yeah, so by default, I believe the maximum duration is 20 minutes. So while you're working in ZBrush, ZBrush is going to save your tool over here every 20 minutes. So whatever you're working on and all these settings in here, it'll save every 20 minutes a quick save version in here. As well as if you ever stop working, like let's say you know, you're working on your tool and you actually like, you know what, I need to take a break, I'm going to use the bathroom, go make some lunch, go browse a website. If you go over here to your preferences again, you're going to see that there's a restoration of 1 minute. So if you don't touch ZBrush for 1 full minute, it'll save a quick save. And if you ever want to, you can actually store a quick save as you work. And I do this all the time. And you can see as I roll over this quick save menu, you're going to see that the hotkey for that is 9. So you can hit the 9 key. So it says quick save projects, quick save folder. You can hit 9. That'll save a quick save. So let's say we're working, and you know what? I don't want to do a file or tool save as or a project save as. I just want to do a quick save so I have it available to me if I ever need to do that. Sometimes it'll disappear. You just need to tap and rotate your document. I'll bring it back. So now when I hit the comma key and go into quick save, I have that version right here. If I double click this, I can say no, I don't want to save changes. Because we didn't go to tool save as or project save as. That'll just load up that last save point we had. So you've got these save points, just like in a video game. You know, every once in a while you're going to hit these save points. You can have it saved for you every 20 minutes, or you can go up here and hit quick save and have that just do a quick save of it. It'll be basically a save snapshot of everything that you see. It's going to save a project, so it's going to be your document settings and your tool, any tools you have loaded over here. Or if you want to, what I usually end up doing, and what we're probably going to end up doing to start out with, is we're going to be working in a Z tool, and then we're going to go to Tool Save As and just start saving Z tools into project folders.